Let's do some feedback frenzy, shall we? With this one, I mean, I like the energy you have in it. Just when designing your drawings, really paying attention to angles. When I'm looking at the shoulders, it's like they're kind of the same angle, and that could flatten things out a little bit. Move it just a little bit. Another thing too, just finding the arc of the back. You know, we talked a little bit about shape today. You know, when you're really considering the rib cage and the hips and how they relate. It's really like pushing, like, you know, the arcs of the back and the twists and all those little things, and just getting back to the angles, changing it up a little bit so the angles don't get even. And again, the tilt of that rib cage, you know, meaning the, you know, the arc of the back there. I think you could push that forward just a little bit. It's just like sometimes it's like just like a little nudge. Anyway, all right, let's move on. When I think of like musicals though, and just how, like, you know, talk about staging, right? It's such the medium to me, like live production for this topic of staging. The actors, they understand that, you know, they have to appeal to the audience. They're very trained in how their body looks. You know, that pose is a read from way back in the back, you know. This is why we push silhouette so much. And so I almost wanted to twist her shoulder just a little bit more, just to push things just a little bit and get some movement in there, just a little bit more exaggerated. I'd raised her clap up a little bit. They're not down here clapping, but they might be up here. Da, 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 da. Really getting in the moment, you know. I feel like the head, though, experiment with that. Instead of just the model looking straight ahead, I might turn her down, you know, tuck that chin, or look over her shoulder. This one, the proportions got a little bit off. You know, I found where my foot's gonna rest here. Got my waist here, but her torso in your drawing got a little long, so I'm just gonna push that a little higher. A little bit of anatomy there. You have your deltoid, goes right into your tricep and bicep area. You get your elbow, just being mindful of proportions. Again, I'd love to see a little bit more rhythm. I'm glad you're doing shapes because we talked about that today. Sometimes things get a little sharp and blocky. But again, just to talk about proportion, make sure that you are comparing a lot, you know, and you might get sucked into starting with the torso and working your way down, or starting with the legs and working your way up. I'm not sure which one. A general rule of thumb are proportions, right? The crotch is like the halfway point, and then you got the bottom of the feet there, right? And the waist is actually up here a little bit. Just keep that halfway point in mind as you're blocking in. This one, same thing. The torso got a little long, shoulders got a little wide. You know, keep in mind, again, with a general rule of thumb for female anatomy, shoulders are a bit more narrow. Just give it a little bit more taper on the arms and a little bit less width on the shoulders. And you might have to push it, you know, as far as like, wow, the kids are losing their minds. That's what happens here at Feedback Frenzy. As far as like the action, like thinking of the action of whipping laundry out, or a blanket, right? And so it's not like big and heavy, it's more light. What is the weight of this object this character's holding or reacting to? I might lean her a little bit more forward. I don't want her to fall over, right, with my balance. I also want to showcase, when I talk about staging, right, and silhouette, and maybe the model was doing this with the way you have it, but I might change the arms up a little bit just to make it super clear to my audience what's going on. Looks like she's going to fall over, so I might make a decision just to make sure that my character isn't falling over. And I know she's kicking up high, which is really fascinating, but sometimes you might have to slide the other foot back as it relates to the head, you know, just so the balance is good. So this one, this is where she was sad and like, there's so many ways to go with this emotion. I mean, you could do the chest out, kind of like you have. I like your idea of backing away. I might collapse her chest, kind of collapsing everything forward. It gives you a little bit more full body language, I think, for that emotion. That's what I would try if I was like animating this thing or something. That kind of anguish, your body kind of buckles, you know. Again, this is all about idea, right? And pushing that acting. And you have some beautiful line work today. So great work. Thank you guys for putting yourself out there. And I will see you back next week live